talk about the military?
Okay.
How you went into why
Okay.
and how and some of your experiences?
I got pictures and things and papers like that. December 7th, that Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, at 1 o'clock, Louis Barra, Camilo Janino, and I, the three of us, there's a picture of the three of us downstairs, years and years later, we're roller skating together. In fact, I have a program here, 1941, where Joe Grandiola and Yogi Berra and Ben Pucci, and that day I was outside, a left halfback, but I was a substitute. They put that lineup in the paper. That lineup of 1941 with three future Hall of Famers on that lineup. Mel Janino took my place. Damn it, the hell, I'd have been there too. I played that day. But on the other side, he had two other Hall of Famers that have that lineup for 1942.
And how old were you in 1941?
1941 and 1922, I was
almost about 19.
19 years old.
Yeah.
So that afternoon, we were skating. We went home, and we decided to join the Marines. You know, the three of us. So about a month or so later, we got together and we went down to join the Marines. See, I passed the Marine Corps test. In fact, they told me no. I had a birth certificate. I told them my name was Roland DeGregorio. I have my Social Security card. They looked at me and said, "Get out of here. Your name Roland. You're Italian. You don't know Roland. Go home and come back with your birth certificate." I went home, got my birth certificate. I said, "Mom, is that my name? Rosolino? Rosolino?" She says, "Yeah, Roland. That's your name." See, in those days, when you went to Shaw School, I went to Shaw School and I told the teacher, those American girls that taught us Italian boys, what they did, they changed their names and made us Americans. So she took the Rosolino and made it Roland. My brother goes to Shaw School, and she made him Sam. His name was Salvatore Torito Totò, so she made him Sam. My sister goes to school, and they changed her name from Fortunata, Fortunate One, to Josephine. So that's how we arrived. All these people on the hill got their Americanized names going to Shaw School. So I joined the Marine Corps. Poor Louis Barra, he had a perforated eardrum. He didn't make it. But Camilo Janino and I made the Marine Corps, and 30 days after Pearl Harbor, we were gone. He was one of the early Marines that went to Alaska. When the Japanese first attacked Alaska, he was one of the first ones shipped out. But I went to North Island, a little island in the middle of San Diego Bay that furnished aircrafts for the aircraft carriers. I did 11 months of guard duty, and next door to the island was Coronado. That island was where the admirals and captains, they all lived there, and I had 11 months of beautiful duty. In fact, the USO used to let us boys have two-man sailboats, and we'd sail along the beaches of Coronado and pick up girls and take them boat riding with us. It was a beautiful thing.
Now, what's the Coronado?
Coronado Island.
Which is where?
It's in San Diego Bay.
Okay,
There's two islands in San Diego Bay, and they had North Island. They had a big submarine net base. They had a net. We used to watch that net go out at night and come back, so the submarines wouldn't come in. We used to guard. We actually had munitions. We were expecting a submarine to land and Japanese get up on the beach there. See what I mean? Like they did in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So it was serious. But in the daytime, we go to USO in Hollywood Vine and the Hollywood Canteen, and I had a ball. Those 11 months were beautiful. Then my brother comes in the Marine Corps, and he comes down here and goes to boot camp, and we're all ready for my brother, and he wants to go to the seagoing Marines, where there were guys aboard ship with the blues, you know. So the class didn't start until about a month later, so he's in a casual company waiting. Some dumb sergeant calls him Dago Wop, Spaghetti Bender. Well, when he finally comes to at the hospital, he plus charges. So our brother Sam gets arrested. He gets 10 days bread and water, and then as soon as he has his 10 days bread and water, they shipped him out the first ship leaving the United States of America for Hawaiian Islands. After the Battle of Tarara, he was gone. I was 11 months in the States after boot camp. He was gone 1 month later to Hawaii as a replacement. I was still on the States. So I had a beautiful time in the States. But then things caught up with me. So they start making plans for the 4th Division. They made we trained so much, so fast, so good that we are the only division that ever left the States in ships, put bullets in our guns, and the next time we landed, we were shooting at them. Imagine leaving the States and the next time you land, you're shooting at them, and they were shooting at you. That's the only outfit that ever did that. They never did it before or after.
And where did the ship?
Yeah, it was the island of Marshall, in the Marshall Islands, on the island of Roy. We were landed, our regiment took the island of Roy. The other regiment took the island of Namur. And the first 48 hours, we ran through that island like a football team. Guys will get up and guys move up. Guys get up, guys move up. And we went through that. In fact, that's how I acquired downstairs. I have a saber, a rifle. I was at that time, I was a runner for my lieutenant. We were a machine gun platoon, and I ran to different platoon squads and tell them what the lieutenant wanted to do. We landed on the second wave on that particular island, and we come to a pillbox, and we see the pillbox. The lieutenant says, "D, shoot." They couldn't pronounce my last name. They all call me D. So I shoot around into the opening of the pillbox, and from a few minutes, like a little time later, we hear a round go off in the pillbox. A rifle goes off. And the lieutenant says, "D, check it out." So I go run it back and go into the pillbox, about the size of about 4 by 4, with a little opening. The corner of the pillbox is a Japanese soldier, half sitting, standing, with a rifle with the butt up, with his chin and his bare toe into the trigger. He had killed himself. I said, "Oh my God." So I went over there and got his rifle out of his hands, took the bayonet out of his saber, put the bayonet, and I walked out of that with a souvenir. I had a Japanese rifle with a saber and a bayonet and a cartridge belt.
You still have it?
I took it, I still got it downstairs.
And was that the first
That's my first souvenir.
Was that the first casualty that you saw?
The first casualty I saw was a Japanese kill himself.
Yeah.
That's not the first. I mean, that's the first one, but not the last one. So that was my first encounter with death. But then, as we were running up there, we found more stuff. And this one, I saw this rifle and my souvenir. I said, "That's my duty in life to get souvenirs." Now, when we left Saipan, the Marshall Islands, we went back to Hawaii, Maui. We didn't go back to the States. We went to Maui. We stayed there and build up and build up and build up. My brother was on the other island of Hawaii, 2nd Division, and I was on Maui. So then our next battle was Saipan. So in Saipan, by the time we got to Saipan, I was no longer the runner of our platoon leader. I was number 6 man of a 6-man machine gun squad. I was the last man. It was my duty to carry a rifle and 2 boxes of ammunition with 682 rounds in each box. It was the last man I had to do that. See? And in fact, what it was with the corporal, the number 1 gunner, and the number 2 gunner, they shot the gun. The corporal put it down, and the other 3 guys carried the ammo. So we had 7 boxes. The corporal carried a box. So we have 7 boxes of ammo at one time, carrying with us all the time. On the island of Saipan, my corporal gets shot and wounded and gets taken away. Then we move up, and by the time we get to halfway through the island, I'm number 3 man. Well, number 1 moved up, and number 2, I'm number 3 man, still with the ammunition. See, so we get toward the middle of the island, and one day we repulsed a minor attack, several about 150 Japanese, and we repulsed them, and we start firing at them, and we wiped them out, or we thought we did. And the one guy, the number 1 guy, sees a guy laying on his back out there with his knee up in the air and was going back and forth. And he said, "D, check that man out." So I dropped my machine gun boxes, bullets, and go up to him and start crawling up to him. And he must have heard me or felt me coming, because I seen him laying there. He takes a hand grenade out of his breast pocket, pulls the pin, engages the primer to set off the hand grenade. You had to push the plunger in, see? Or the thing went flying. Or you had to plunge. See, I got a hand grenade too downstairs. So what he does, he puts on his chest, and he blows himself up. He's laying there. I saw I saw him do that. I thought I hit the deck, and when it went off, boom. So I went over to him. I said, "Oh God Almighty, take that."
You want to show these?
Yeah, I want to show you. This is the second. This is the first. He's laying there. Give me this one here. This one.
This one.
So he's laying there with this saber, and his belt was an officer. So I cut the strings, put this in my belt pocket like this. So I got myself a saber.
And that's the guy that blew him up.
This is the guy who blew himself up.
Wow.
The rifle is the guy who shot himself underneath the chin.
Is that the rifle?
That's the rifle that killed the Japanese soldier himself. That rifle killed a Japanese soldier by himself.
Pull it over here a little bit.
Yeah,
Papa. There you go.
What he had done is put this thing underneath his throat here, and his bare toe, he put it in here, and he pulled the trigger. See? And he shot himself.
Wow.
With that rifle?
With this rifle. With this rifle, he killed him. And with the saber I took from a dead Jap, who had just blew himself with a hand grenade. That was really something I couldn't get over. That's the second thing I picked up. And to give you, I say this as a thing of warning how the Japanese soldiers' mind operated. That mind told them he would die for his emperor and he would kill himself. You didn't believe it. I saw it twice. Yeah. I could understand why they all committed. They wouldn't die until you had to kill them. On the island of Iwo Jima, there was almost 22,000 Japs on the island of Iwo Jima. We only captured 800 alive. 21,000 Japanese either killed themselves or got killed before they died. They would not surrender. Wow. So that's how I acquired these two weapons. But then after that, when we got to the end of the island, as we were going towards the end of the island, the 2nd Division, my brother was on the left side, and we were on the right side. We were going up the island. As we got towards the end of it, it got too small for both of us division. So they said the 2nd Division will be pulled out, and we're going to take over their position. When the captain says we're going to take over the 2nd Regiment, 2nd Battalion, I said, oh my God, I said, my brother's in that outfit. He said, well, D, I tell you what you do. We'll give you an hour head start. We're going to meet right here. We'll pass through, and we'll pick you up. So I got an hour head start. I ran, creep and crawl, looking for my brother. Now, it was not a big deal to look for my brother. All I had to do is, he was in the 57 millimeter cannons. So what I did, while I was going up, I'm looking for the cannons. So as soon as I spot the cannons, I knew that's where I had to go. So I went right there, and there he was in a foxhole, and I jumped in the foxhole, my brother said. We spent 45 minutes, and I was so afraid, because he had a pistol. And he was with the cannon guys. They had pistols so they could load the guns and all that stuff. They couldn't be carrying a rifle with them all the time. So I was afraid he might use it. That's how I got jumped in. So we spent 45 minutes in the foxhole, and while we were there, my unit came across and picked me up, and I went with them and left him in the foxhole in Saipan.
Saipan different than Iwo Jima?
Oh yeah, Saipan at the Marianas Island.
Okay, okay.
Japan owned those Marianas. So that's why I bet my brother on Saipan, because I looked for the cannons, and there he was. We spent 45 minutes.
Never forget that story.
And that was my second battle. That was his first. See? So I told him to be careful and all that. Hell, he was telling me to be careful. I was closer to the front line than he was. At least he could lob the kid. So that's how I got my first saber. Now Tinian, after 28 days on Saipan, they regrouped us, and we landed on Tinian, the island about 10 miles, less than 10 miles away. You can see it, see, from where we were. But Tinian, the Marine Corps had a brainstorm. The Tinian Island had a beautiful beach about 200 yards long, right by the city there, and the boats could come right up and everything, and it'd be suicide to come up that. So what they did, they had the 2nd Division fake a landing on that beach. It was really, while the 4th Division landed about someplace only as wide as my front lawn. What they did, the boats did not come in waves like this. They came in one at a time. They come in single line, and as they got to the front porch there, they would turn right, and they'd jump off. The Marines would jump off, and the boat would keep going, and the other boat would jump off, and that's how we did it. We had 35-foot breach on two sides, and by the time they woke up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we had landed our almost 3 regiments of troops. We spit out, see? We went out, and we covered like another map, another book down in there. Can you open that up?
Sure.
Anyway, while you're opening, what we did, we spread out and formed a defense line. See, we formed a defense line, and we got ready for them. In fact, at 5 o'clock, they radioed Tokyo. See, my brother's 2nd Division smoke screen covered right there. Before they hit the beach, the smoke screen with planes coming down, and then in the smoke screen, the boats turned around and went back. See. In the smoke screen, they went back. Yeah. And the Japs said, we repulsed. They radioed Tokyo. We repulsed them. We fought them off. They're leaving. They're retreating. It was all planned. It was all planned. So we landed out there.
Take a little break, man. Oh, let's see. Show that to the camera.
Okay.
Just for
yeah.
There you go.
That arrow was me charging ferociously.
Got it. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the island.
That island.
400 and how many people?
That night, we wiped out the book will tell you 492 jet bodies were counted in front of it, not counting they picked up the wounded. That night, Judley and I were sitting on the edge of a railroad track. You know, a railroad track is we're dug in on one side into the cinders, and Roth and Ginsel were on the other side of that railroad track, dug into the cinders. They were both shooting down that railroad track into a sugarcane field. See? And there was a road behind us. The Japanese tanks were on the road, but the troops were coming through the cornfield, the sugarcane field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we opened up, and we were down, by daybreak, we were down to our 7th box of ammo. In the meantime, the tanks, the two that ran away, ran right over our railroad tracks where we were standing, and they threw out hand grenades. One of them went off right on the sides of the rail, and blew up, and Dudley was sitting here, and I'm here higher, and I'm feeding the gun. I'm number 2, I'm feeding the bullets. And Dudley's up to shooting, see? It goes off, and his back was like 2 people got their hands and just scratched his back with fingernails. The fragments of the ashes of the railroad and just scratched his back. Not enough for pricks, it just scratched his back. He stayed there till morning. We stayed there till morning. Another grenade was in the middle of the track, didn't go off. See? So that morning, we're down to our last ammunition box, and the half track came down and dumping off ammunition and picking up the wounded. So they picked up Dudley and left me there. And that morning, I got up and looked the area over, and that's where I found the other sword.
Oh, is that right?
That one there. See that one there?
Show us that.
That one there was out there laying among the railroad tracks. That's where I got this other sword. You see?
Okay.
And then downstairs I got a hand grenade that did not go off.
Is that the one right there?
Yeah, see this hand grenade? We Marines, you learn how to handle weapons. You know what I mean? So what I did, is just unscrew this like this, and just pour out the gunpowder. We did the same thing with our hand grenade. You learn how to handle weapons. You got to learn to disengage them, how make them harmless. Not only our grenade, but theirs. Right. So if you saw a Japanese hand grenade, you would do this. You'd unscrew it, and then pour the powder out, and then they used to pull this. There's a cap in there. That cap would set this off.
Can you tell us about the situation when you were injured, how you got injured?
Well, that's on the Iwo. That's the next battle.
Okay.
This battle, I got this hand grenade.
Right.
The saber.
Let's move over to Iwo Jima now.
All right, now we'll move over to Iwo Jima. Anyway.
Because we got to watch the clock.
Yeah, by the time I got to Iwo, I was number 1 gunner. We landed on Iwo. It was 19 days before I got hurt. I was on the island for 19 days, running, jumping, skipping, do whatever. I want to paraphrase it. How did it feel to be on Iwo? You know how it felt? You're running through a rainstorm of clouds and everything and not get wet.
Because?
You know, it's because you were getting missed by all the shells that were flying in the air. It looked like rain. It looked like rain coming down on you, and you didn't get hit.
So that was all the fire?
The fire, and they say it looked like you're running through a rainstorm, praying to God not to get hit by drops.
That much fighting going on.
That's where the fighting was. I lasted 19.
So you were there 19 days before, and then what happened on the 19th day?
Well, we worked our way. It's just like the difference. Your troop train lands at 18th Street and Market, Union Station. You get out of the troop train, you all form up on 18th Street all the way to Olive, and then you start marching toward the river. You all start walking toward the river. Okay, it's 18 blocks to the river. It took me 19 days to get 1 block away from the river. 1 block at a time. 1 block each day. That's as far as you went. As far as you went with 1 block each day. In fact, when we got to 12th Street, we stopped for 4 days because the Olive Street people didn't come down. They ran across the 5-story caves, and they couldn't wipe them out. It took them days to wipe out those 5-story caves. So we stayed there, and somebody said, "How did you go bathroom?" Well, you got a hole in the back here. You know, Jeter, one day sitting here, right here, the guy with him and I, who saved my life, sitting there talking to my wife. He said, "You know, your husband's shit really stinks." You imagine my buddy telling my wife that? He says, we had to go dig a hole in the back of your foxhole and poop down there, see? He says, man, he really stinks.
So he said, how did, so what happened?
Well, what happened, we were gone towards the end. We could see the water, see? And we're on a bluff, like, looking down. What happened, they had mortar shells coming, big ones, and we're pointing, our gun is pointed over this bluff down into the water down that way. A shell hits right in front of my, about 10 feet gully, right in front, and the updraft of the dirt just covers me up, and I'm covered up in dirt. Just covered up, and a concussion. Cheater digs me out, calls the corpsman, gets me on a stretcher bear, and takes me down. The stretcher takes me to the boat. I get on a boat. 3 days later, I wake up on the island of Guam in a hospital. 3 days I was out with concussion.
That was your injury, concussion,
Yeah.
from the explosion in front
Explosion.
of you?
So 3 days later, I wake up with the concussion on Guam. So that's a cheater. Sometimes he was here, and he says, I should have left you there.
So then you were in Guam for how long? How long were you in?
So I was on Guam for about, until the next hospital ship picked me up and took me to Seattle, Washington. In Seattle, Washington, I was there 1 month on Guam and 3 months in Seattle, Washington. I was 4 months in the hospital recuperating from this concussion.
Wow. So
4 days before VJ Day, I get my discharge papers. I leave Seattle, Washington, August the 11th or 10th. I get on a train. As we're going across Montana, and then I read the paper, I read something. Atomic bomb dropped. Atomic bomb dropped. By the time I get to Chicago, the 2 bombs have been dropped. So I get to Chicago, and my mother meets me in Chicago, and we come home to St. Louis together in a train. So the next day, the war was over. I got home August the 13th, and Johnny was born August the 14th. So I got home the day before the war was over. I missed 32 days. I was in the war. I was in the service 30 days after Pearl Harbor, and I come out 2 days before it was often. I missed 32 days of the war.